What's up, Milan? How you doing, bro? Sorry, folks. I'm just logging back into something here, and because I use my phone as my camera as well, I just need to grab it. Just hold on a sec. Yeah, I just needed to do something on the phone. Yeah, no, we're good. Sorry, folks. Thank you. Just had to. It sends a notification to my phone, and because I use my phone as the camera here, and so yeah, it's all fun. Technology, yay! Anyway, how you all doing? Um, This is my first playing of the day, so I'm just getting myself going. I was thinking of maybe just actually playing along to a tune. I My beautiful uh, BTV 6 string is back in commission now, and so just getting it uh, back into playing, just kind of really getting it personalized. with the setup and all that. So it's feeling really nice. So I might play along with some tunes, but see what's going on in the chat. Milan. Hey man, hope you're doing well. And I'm doing well, thank you so much. And Gil, how you doing? Yeah, I've had quite a few shows the last few weeks, but I think you might be referring to the show that I had with my trio, which was absolutely fantastic. You might have seen some a little bit of video footage on my Instagram reels from that. Played a lot of upright on this, which was really nice. It was definitely nice to play, more like acoustic, jazz trio setting. I did play electric on a few tunes for that gig, but that was a lot. It was a lot of fun, and incredible musicians who played with me. Kevin Field on piano, Elijah White on drums. Absolutely fantastic. We kept it real loose and just had a lot of fun and played some really fun tunes as well. It was my first time ever playing with a band, playing Light as a Feather, the tune Light as a Feather by Stanley Clarke, obviously from the Chick Corea Return to Forever album, Light as a Feather. So that was a lot of fun. Such a great tune. But it was a lot of fun, yeah, indeed. Yeah, Milan, maybe I'll play some fretless a little later today. That might be a good idea. But I might just play. I might play along with something just because this is my first playing of the day. So I might just kind of ease into it a bit. Just play some, play a bit of groove, and we'll just see where we go from there. I might play. Let's see if I can do it from memory, because I've played this on the gig a number of times now, and this is actually a tune that a lot of you have probably never heard before. But this is by a great young keyboard player, pianist that I've been playing with here in New Zealand lately, by the name of Joe Capteen. This is one of his tunes that is really cool, called Unwavering. And the last time we played it, I was able to play it without looking at the chart. And the reason is because my iPad, the battery ran down, and so he called the tune. I'm like, all right, well, let's just go. Let's see what happens. And it actually worked out pretty well. So I'll play this, but I see that there's a question here. My wife here, Tara David, extreme close-up. Damn. Yes, I know, honey. Gil is asking, seriously, man, how do you deal with bruises due to upright playing? Well, this is the thing. You shouldn't get bruises when playing upright. All right? That's the thing. If you're getting bruises when you're playing upright bass, then you're doing something wrong. Just because it's such a big instrument and it looks like that's, like the physicality of it is intense, it really isn't. You really shouldn't be yanking the strings on that thing. That's not how it works. And also, that's not how you're going to get the sound from it. So, yeah, it's you should play it just like how you would play a electric bass, play it, comfortably. And the instrument should be set up comfortably for you as well. So more on that a little later. I'm going to play some music here. And yeah, we'll have a good old jolly good time. Oh, I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I'm going to try that again. Take two. All right. Give myself some volume here. All right. tune. It's a fun little tune. I'm still like old stiff and like not loosened up as yet. So I was like, but there's Unwavering by Joe Capteen. Great young upcoming keyboard player here in New Zealand, doing really great things. And some of these live videos that you might have seen me playing, like on my Instagram, whenever I've posted some live stuff, has been with him, with his group, and playing some of his tunes. The last time we played, we actually played some weather report tunes, which is really cool because he's really into like 70s fusion and all that, which is really cool. So it's been great playing with him, and also with Elijah White on drums, who's absolutely fantastic, phenomenal young player. So it's been great. How's everyone doing? I'm having my my oolong tea, my caffeine here, and just getting myself kind of loosened up for playing. Jovan, how you doing? Blessings to you as well. Thank you. And I appreciate it, Keenan. I'm just keeping it loose here as usual. But if you got any questions about just anything to do with bass playing, pop it down in the chat. You know, I might tilt my camera down just a touch. Yeah, pop it down in the chat. Any questions? Anything to do with gear? Anything to do with any techniques or concepts? Anything. You know, playing gigs, recording, anything like that. Yeah, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, I appreciate the love from you know, my last two videos, my last two posts about playing the Lydian mode. I figured, and a lot of you have requested from that video that I did probably like a month or two ago, where I played different examples. People were asking, "Oh, can you like break it down?" So that's what I've been doing, and so there's more to come to kind of just showing you the different things from that video. Do it in parts. That way, people can you know, play along and figure out some of the things that's going on here. But I figured also this might be a good opportunity to kind of have a look at some of those things that I've already posted already, and just give you a little more insight as to how and why I would play certain things. Hey, that's cool, Jovan. You're from the Cayman Islands. Nice. That's cool. I'm not sure if there's anyone who's been on here and you know, when I've been doing a live that is from the Cayman Islands, so you might be the first. You know, so that's cool, and I'm glad that you're checking out the Lydian modes. So that's cool. So if you have any questions about that, pop it down in the chat. I'm always happy to clarify anything. John Axe, what's up, man? Any essays due? Oh no, you're essay free for the nice. So that means you're actually going to go to bed at like a decent hour now. You're not going to pull an all-nighter. Is that what's happening? Anyway, I'm going to drink this down. Drink my tea here. And so the interesting thing, you know, when going back and putting together these little hey Mario, nice to see you. When doing these Lydian kind of little videos, what am I doing here? Do I know how to use this? is that let's see, do I have it here? Obviously, I've had to transcribe myself when doing this, and when I obviously where that original video came from was obviously from a live stream where someone in the chat asked, how can I use that to play bass fills, and that's where it came from. So it was on the spot kind of stuff. And so going back and, yes, transcribing what I played and have to kind of also just figure out, relearn what I played. And that was definitely quite interesting. And this might be something for you to try as well for yourself. If you record yourself, or maybe from a gig or something, or just, playing like a practice session, and then you listen back and there's something in there and you're like, hey, that was kind of cool. What was it that I did? And sometimes you find that you played something and you didn't realize it at the time in the moment of like what it was that you played, but when you're analyzing it, of just like, whoa, what was that? That was technically a little complex, or like, wow, that's something that I've not necessarily done before. These are the kinds of things that you would discover with your own playing, and this is a really great thing to do in that sense. As well as, yes, we transcribe other musicians to gain more vocabulary, more concepts, more methods, and to understand how other musicians approach certain things. But it's also really great to transcribe yourself as well, because this is a really good way of cementing and even discovering more about your sound and the way that you play and approach the instrument. So I definitely recommend it. So it's been pretty interesting doing that lately. So as Giovanna's asking, I'd love to understand the second part of the Lydian breakdown a bit more. Yeah, absolutely. So what I have to do here is I have to pull up my little transcription that I did, so that I can remember what I played. So if I play it slowly, so yeah, right? So that one there, if I just go over just that first phrase right there, the thing that I found interesting of this was that it's especially that right there, you have going in this way, and then it goes, it's almost like this little kind of turnaround kind of motion. And when I'm doing that slide, I'm using my index finger. And the first two notes, that E to the F sharp, is it's a hammer-on. And one of the most important things in this whole thing that I'm playing is the type of articulation. Something that you want to pay attention to is that. And I did my best on the transcription, and when you look at the video and if you're following along with either the tablature or the notation, I did put slur lines to show you where I am, either where I'm doing, whether it's a slide or a hammer-on, or even a pull-off. Those are the important things that's going to help you, instead of like picking every single note. So that's the thing too, for any kind of transcription, anything that you're learning, is that yes, getting the correct notes is part of it, but you want to make sure that you are articulating it the way that it's originally played. And once you understand how that's being played, then you can definitely freely figure out a different way that might be more efficient for you, or even a different way to kind of make it, your own, right? But in this case, for this thing, this is it's a very interesting, like, it kind of took me a little bit to, and this was one of those where I was just like, whoa, okay. So when I do this slide with my index finger, it allows me, for the note that comes after that, which is a D, which is going to be on the same fret, to be able to play that right away. And then it takes, and then I go back to the A and I hammer on for that B. Now, after the B, I play an E, but because this is going by kind of quickly, I'm not going to use the same finger to play that E. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pinky to play that E, so that I can stretch to the C sharp over here. And then from there we have a F sharp minor triad. So, right? And so in terms of the fingering, it sets you up to do that. So, you know, right? Yeah, and just rhythmically, that was also a little tricky to kind of just execute as well. And then this one here. Yeah. That one there was also, even though this kind of is definitely part of a lot of my, my movement that I use, part of that, like, kind of hexatonic type of sound that is, pretty popular right now with bass playing. Yeah, you're talking about that second one, Jovan? Yeah. So I'll go over that in a second. Shalev here is asking, wait, Ivan has made a JPJ bass? Well, they did for me. This is not a bass that is available. This is a custom one-off build that they made for me 4 years ago now. Yeah, 4 years ago. And did an absolute incredible job on it. So the same builders that made Thundercats basses, that made Steve Vai's guitars, that made for all the the top Ibanez endorsees, or who have custom instruments and all that, made this bass as well. So this was made in Los Angeles. So it's a BTB. That's a BTB custom. And it's incredible. It's just, yeah, feels really good. It's like butter. But anyway, let me go over that second fill, right? So that one there, right? That one is a little, that's a bit of a tongue twister right there. So the thing that I recommend you do is break it down into sections, right? So if we just look at the going up to the C sharp, right? Let's break those into two parts, right? So we can look at just look at that, right? Which is literally a G major triad, right? So instead of playing right? Which is, you know, the most conventional way to do it. Obviously, I chose to not be conventional in this, right? Right, we know how to do. But I'm doing it this way where I'm starting on the root, right? And now I'm going to the major third on the same string. So I'm stretching. And the reason why I do that is, obviously, I mean, if you look at the just the whole kind of the root, if you want to call it, of this phrase, it's very diagonal, right? Because I want to be able to use the range. I want to go up here, and even though right now I'm playing a 6-string bass, which means, you know, sure, I could go to the E over here, but I don't want to because I'm not trying to go for that sound. And obviously, when I originally played this, I played this on a 5-string as well. So there's that. So in terms of, and the sound as well, I want to be able to get that sound of the first 2 notes, the root and the major third. I want to get the sound of that third being a hammer-on, right? Because you can't do it if you're going 2 strings, right? You have to pluck both of them. Or do this, which is not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take the energy on the string that is already vibrating because I've already plucked it, and I want to continue it on, right? So this is the thing about like these little intricacies of the phrasing and articulation when you're getting into this kind of stuff, is that and this is the thing, there are many different ways to play some of these phrases on the instrument, but you definitely want to go for the intention of how it was originally played. And that was one of the things I had to really focus on when kind of relearning this to put these together. So going for the first part, this G major triad, right? And I'm just using my index finger and my pinky to play this. So index finger on the root, pinky on the third to stretch, then index finger on the 5th, and the same finger to play the G octave, right? And I'm playing 4 notes, but I'm only plucking 3 of them, right? So just remember, that one is hammer on, and then the next 2 are plucked, right? And that is a great exercise, you know, for, you know, if you're wanting to warm up, if you're wanting to get familiar with playing a triad in this configuration, or if you want to kind of start, you know, get familiar with and more comfortable with the way that you play this kind of phrasing instead of going. And it's really good for your hands as well. And then and this is the thing, if you keep using, you know, if you go up to that high octave and then stretch up a major third, then you get, you know, so you can do things like that, right? So the first part of the lick, right? The second part, right? So then, because I'm here on this G, right? The next note is going to be an E. And that means that I'm not going to go here to play the E. I'm here, and I have these two fingers free to go to the E that is here. And then after that is an F sharp. And so I'm going to use my pinky to go to the F sharp, right? And from there is when you kind of get a, you get a, almost like a position change, right? Because then I can go from there, I have these notes, F sharp, A, E, C sharp, so, right? But this is something I discovered, you know, so I was obviously practicing and learning it slowly, but then when I got it up to speed, the natural thing for me to do is that you might have seen or noticed just then, after I play that F sharp, I use my index finger to play the A. Just because it gave me a little more stability to do so, instead of going from here after playing just index and pinky. You know, for some of you it might not be a problem, but for me, and also, you know, that earlier that day I had had a doctor's appointment where I had blood tests and all that, so this arm was like not up to you know, up to full capacity, so that's probably another reason why. Right? So the second part, right? So after we do this, so E, F sharp, A. Right now I'm just going to use my index finger to play that A, right? Just because that's what I'll be doing at speed. So F sharp, A, E, right? To the C sharp, right? And that's the thing too, is going from that E to that C sharp over the G major 7 chord, that's our sharp 11. That's our Lydian note right there. If we're playing, that's the sound right there, and that was the intention. So again, and this is something, again, you want to take it slowly, but break it into 2 parts. First part, second part, right? And then in terms of like the phrasing, so as you saw, those first 2 notes, they're together, so I do a hammer on. These 2 are pluck. And then the next 2, this E and F sharp, that's a hammer on. And then the next 2 are plucked, A, E, and then that E to the C sharp. The E to the C sharp. So this is the other thing too that I haven't talked about as yet. So the E to the C sharp, all right. So I've talked about hammer-ons, right? But then we need to do pull-offs. That's just as important. So, and this is probably the part where, like, you know, for some of you are going, what is it? Trust me, it was for me when I was also like just relearning it. So, sorry. And so when you do the pull-off, so you're on the E, and your target note is that C sharp. And the way you do a pull-off, and whether you're on a 4-string, a 5, or a 6, is that my pinky is doing the pull-off. It's as if you're just literally plucking the string, right? You're just doing that. And you don't need to pull it really hard. You really don't. So like that. That's really important. And this is a big part of the hammer-ons and pull-offs are definitely, especially in terms of this kind of modern sound, right? And this modern type of phrasing with bass playing is definitely a big part of it, you know. So and so once you get so whether you're pulling off with your pinky or you're using your third finger, it's definitely something that you want to have under your hands, you know, under your fingers, however you want to say it, right? So that's the thing. So going back to the and then down, down, so so a lot of fourths in there, which is also very popular with bassists. Yes, Jovan, please sign up for. You can sign up for my bass coaching and mentoring programs, where we essentially it's one-on-one. It's you and me. We work on anything that you want to work on for your bass playing journey, and it's open to all levels. All right. So I had someone comment on my video, one of my videos this morning, saying, I need to learn how to play the bass guitar. Great, let's do it. If you've never played the bass guitar before, let's do it. If you are a working professional bassist, this is also great for you as well. All right, so I work with bassists all over the world. And it's not a one-size-fits-all curriculum. It's how can I help you achieve your bass goals? How can I help you on your journey? How can I hold you accountable to your bass goals? That's what it's all about. And so down below in the description box are the links down there. So check it out and definitely sign up, because and even if you were to sign up today, we can get started as soon as this weekend. It's not a waiting period or anything. Okay, you got to wait, you know, till next season or whatever. No, it's like you sign up now, let's get started. That's how it works. All right. So please do check that out in the description box. Also, if you haven't, please like and subscribe here to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it, and it helps. I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers, which is really cool. So yes, if you haven't subscribed, please do. That way you also get notified of whenever I go live or whenever I post stuff here on my channel. John Axe is saying, reminds you of how Sway, the Thundercat progression. I can never get to that speed. Yeah, he obviously plays with a lot of speed, definitely. And in terms of speed, and especially because on this video, what am I doing? I'm minimizing like too many. Okay, have I got it here? All right, yeah. So, in terms of, because yeah, on this one, I had sped it up, just to just for fun, just to show you what it would sound like, at a faster tempo. If I was to attempt it right now, because I'm not warmed up properly, it would just be an absolute mess. We'll give it a go anyway. But for playing fast and all that, it's not about how hard you play. It's about the type of efficiency and how you can have your body relaxed when playing. You know? Oh. There we go. I was adding in a note. So that's the thing, is how both your hands are working with each other, right? Even for doing something, obviously they need to be hitting at the same time. So that's why it's always important take things slowly so that you can sync up both your hands together. You can get them used to the muscle memory of playing many different things. And also, in a way, once you, for me, when I play stuff at a faster speed, I definitely like to use the hammer-ons and pull-offs, because I love that kind of phrasing, right? I love that smooth phrasing. That's probably my influence from Alan Holdsworth, because he was all what we call the legato technique. He was all legato, meaning your lines are more smoother, they're connected. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the only correct way of playing. You can play with, where you literally pick every single note. There's every type of phrasing is needed, right? So what I did earlier, right? I'm plucking every single note there, as opposed to right? And for something like that, if I was to play it at a faster tempo, it's a little harder to get it, for something like that, if I'm playing faster, then it's going to be definitely all the notes plucked, especially if I'm descending down. But if I'm ascending, it's a little easier to do the hammer-ons as opposed to right. So sometimes I'll have like a hybrid of both. That's the thing. So going back to something, so when with someone like Thundercat, because they're playing tunes that have some pretty fast tempos, right? So he definitely is going to be plucking a lot of the notes, and also the type of setup that he has on his bass as well. I've played his bass, or one of his basses, before. That main one, that Sunburst bass, and it's set up pretty nicely. He's got those tape wound strings on them, so they have a pretty looser tension. So you're able to kind of when plucking every single note and really playing at speed, you're able to achieve that. I know it's the same thing with Robert Bobby Lewis as well. I've NAMM show and all that. I've tried out some of his basses when he's had them there, And it was the same thing. It makes playing stuff at speed definitely more efficient, and also easier as well. Some might say, is that cheating? Nah, I don't think so. I think you need to find the tools and the resources that are going to help you and allow you to play the music that you are trying to play, that you are hearing. All right? There's no cheating or anything. If you want to play fast, then find the things that are going to help you to do that. Right? Don't try to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to prove a point by like using like high tension flat wounds to like shred. I mean, if you want to do that, please go ahead, do that. More power to you. But don't hurt yourself. Like, I mean, seriously, don't injure yourself. Alan Holdsworth, people like Steve Vai as well, who had incredible, obviously, speeds on the instrument. They had their instrument set up to do that. This type of strings that they played, very light strings, because they're playing with a light touch as well. So if you need to find the stuff that's going to help you achieve that, do it. There's no cheating. There really isn't. Just don't steal other people's music and call it yours. That's where that's where things get all messed up. But in terms of trying to play the music you're trying to play, there's equipment and gear and accessories to help you do that. Now, in terms of why wouldn't I use tape wound strings for something, especially if I want to play fast? Well, this is the thing. For the type of music and the type of sound, again, this is personal to everyone. The type of thing I'm going for with my instruments requires me to play with round wound strings, right? But also, I definitely like that snappiness of it. And I have my instrument set up so that I can, if I do need to play at some speeds, I can do that. It's not a big deal, So that's the thing. And also my whole thing is that sure, when playing fast is needed, whether you're playing fast tempo or playing some sort of bass line that has things, like something like that, or in a solo, I'm still able to do that technically when I'm warmed up and all that, when I'm, really in it. I know that if I was to have just the tape wound strings on here, then for me, for the type of music I do and all that, it wouldn't cover my needs. You know what I mean? And that's just for me personally, Hey, Boards of Series, how you doing? Yes, the Lydian thing. We've just been kind of covering it, so I'll do a little, again, I'll do a little recap on part 2, and also I'll have a look at part 1 as well. Just figured, this will be, if you have any questions about it, if you've seen my little Lydian, part series, there's more to come out. I'm working on the next few, and people have been really enjoying it, which is really cool, and I appreciate it. Milan, thank you so much, man. So I'll tell you, Milan is an incredible musician who's just started in my program on both electric bass and upright bass. Doing both, which is really cool. So that's the thing. If you, it's not just for electric bassists. If you also want to work on upright bass as well, we do that. We do all the basses. That's what it's about. And literally, Milan was someone who, he signed up one day, and then later that day we had our first session. It just worked out like scheduling wise. So that's the thing. If you were to sign up today, I know, depending on what your time, we could get started today or at least this weekend. So that's how it is. You don't have to wait around, which is really cool. Eliza, how you doing? Nice to see you. John Axe is saying I use tape wounds, but I was thinking of getting flats on my 6-string. Yeah, John, I think it's worth just kind of just trying things out. What does just so that you understand and you have an idea, and you definitely you definitely get you find out what works for you. What is your sound? That's the thing. So yeah, West Stream, how you doing? Don't think I've seen you on here before, but welcome. Does finger length and size matter for building speed? No, not at all. It really doesn't. Well, one of my buddies, a phenomenal bassist, is from Japan. His name is Yuki Lin. I call him Lin, because that's how he introduced himself to me when we first met, probably like maybe 15 years ago. He has smaller hands than me, and he has incredible technique and facility, and he does play 6-string as well. He plays 6-string Ken Smith, as well as a 4 and a 5. He has, his hands are smaller than me, and he absolutely just blazes on the bass. So no, you don't have to have, a large hand or long fingers. My hands are really not that big. They're flexible. That's the thing. They're flexible, and they're pretty nimble in being able to kind of move around on the instrument. And so that's the thing. So if you work on certain stuff, and I can demonstrate a few things that have, for me, over the years have helped me kind of just develop my flexibility and just the kind of dexterity with my fretting hand. You really don't need to have big hands to play the instrument. And the same thing with upright bass as well. I know people who are way smaller than me who have smaller hands than me, and they are just absolutely virtuosic classical bassists, like thumb position and everything, and it's like, wow. So yeah, it's not that kind of thing. If you want to play fast, if you want to build speed, you'll find a way to do it. It's as simple as that, right? John Axe is saying the only criticism is that it lacks the mid bump and definition sometimes. Yeah, I can understand that. Years ago, I tried out some nylon tape wound strings, and that I would say it was the same thing for me. It just I kind of like to have the kind of zing and kind of growl and punchiness, So that's what it is for me. But yeah. Eliza is saying, can you give me a tip on EQ on bass for beginners? I really struggle with this. Yeah, that's a great question. Milan, my pleasure, man. I'm just grateful to be a part of it, a part of your, bass journey. And Eliza, yes, so when I play along with the music, the bass gets lost in the mix. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can demonstrate that by playing along with something. So this is the thing with a lot of, beginner players, and is that, how do you use the EQ? We think that, like, okay, we just turn everything up. That's what I did when I was a beginner on my amp. I just turned everything up because I figured, well, it's not always the case right there to do that. And you need to understand how to tune the EQ for different rooms. All right, I talk about this quite often because it's every so often this kind of comes up, and I bless you, and my wife sneezed. It comes up every so often, and it's a very important thing to understand. So I'll tell you this. The first thing I'll say is that there's no secret settings that you're going to have on your amp. It's going to change from room to room. And also even from musical setting to another musical setting. That's how it's going to change. I would say my secret setting is, for any room, is starting flat. All right. Now you might get some amps which are pretty interesting. So this right now I'm using this Aguilar Tone Hammer 500. This has an interesting thing where you put everything at 12 o'clock, all the EQ, and it's not necessarily flat. This is its own kind of characteristic. So you have to really, this amp here really requires you to use your ears to kind of figure it out. It's kind of voiced like a vintage kind of amp, but anything modern, more or less, you put things at 12 o'clock and it's going to be flat, right? That's your starting point right there. And the thing to do is when you play, say for example, you're in this room here, or any room, but for example, for this room, I have carpet on the ground. It's just a room, like a box. I've got high ceilings, wooden walls. I've got a window, right? So there's going to be some reflection going on. I don't have any panels or baffling to absorb anything other than carpet. So when I'm playing, and I've got is there a cable that is? There's a cable. I'll have to fix that shortly. When I'm playing, I'm listening to, okay, when I just play a sound, if there's anything that jumps out too much, right? So, and that could be either, maybe it could be too boomy, so, or there could be too much treble, like where it's really bright, especially if you have a lot of reflective surfaces. You might get something that might be a little mid-range heavy. Either it might be in the low mids or it might be in the high mids, right? So for something that is boomy, if it's going to be too much bass, what I recommend is you prop it up on something. So that's what I've done here, because I put it on the ground. It's a little boomy. Even though we love, there'll be times where we love that sound of the ground coupling effect, but it's not going to necessarily make for a good, clear bass tone, depending on where you're playing, right? So you can prop it up to kind of do that, and it gets it closer to your ear as well. And then the thing to do when you have it flat, you want to play along whether you're playing live. So say that, and this is where sound check is definitely important. You're playing with a band. Start off flat, all right, and definitely also give yourself a good amount of volume headroom, all right. So have your amp where you've got plenty of headroom to play with, because the thing that you don't want to keep doing with your EQ is just adding more and more stuff to it. That's the thing that you don't want to do, because then that's going to kind of contribute to things being louder on stage. Also, muddiness of your tone. And it also, when you're louder, it also means that the other instrumentalists are going to be louder. They're going to play louder. That's the thing. And if you have vocalists, you've got horns, or you've got any other instruments that are, acoustic quality, it's going to be absolutely difficult and even painful for them to even just try to participate. So we want to make sure that we're not like just absolutely overpowering. So, which means, yes, have a good volume level so that you can manage your dynamics on stage, and also in terms of the EQ as well. So when playing along, so let's bring up a tune. I'm gonna say let's do something that has, some let's see, what have I got here? Something that is, pretty straightforward. Let's see. I could do there, now I have to choose a song. Let's do this. I'm going to play this. This is like a little instrumental interlude. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with just everything flat on my bass guitar right now, okay? This requires me playing up high and also playing down low. And then we'll just go, we'll just kind of analyze it from there. Oops. So the thing that I found when playing, at the beginning when I played up high, was that I felt that I was not, I was getting buried, a little lost, and so I'll play again. So it's still there, but it requires me, in order to hear what I'm doing, especially when playing up in this higher register, I don't want to pluck too hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bump the mids a little more. That way I can have a little more point, right? So let's try that. Yeah. So and I just bumped it just a touch. That was the thing. You know? That was the thing. I bumped it up and it just enabled me to kind of just relax a bit. But this is the thing with the mids. You want to make sure that you don't overdo it. You know? You really don't want to overdo it in terms of the mids, because then it's going to be too and too you know what I mean? And we don't want that to affect the overall mix of the band. You know what I mean? And what's Weststream saying? It's kind of painful to reset EQ for every gig based on the different surfaces you mentioned. Will integrating an amp head help? Yeah, look, I totally understand. Again, just start with everything flat, all right? Because this is what we have to do as musicians. We have to definitely do things like that. You got to tune it to the room. This is what sound engineers do for every venue that they have the PA set up. They got to ring out the PA to get rid of any of those unwanted frequencies. They literally have to go through all the bands on the EQ to do that, and then put any whatever processing and the way that each and tune the crossovers for how the front house speakers the way that they are sounding in a venue, whether it's outside or it's in a large stadium or some sort of whatever it is. They have to do that. They're not just going to have a setting and be like, okay, cool, one size fits all. That's not how it works. And it's the same goes for us as well. So the best place is just to start off flat. And in terms of having to and have a good volume level, have it decent, and then if you do need to bump something, just try just a touch, right? There's going to be times where you need to take out stuff. I find a lot of time the frequencies that I take out a lot is going to be at times is going to be treble. I find myself reducing that more, and also sometimes bass as well, and I want to show you something. If you're listening with really good headphones, as I see where Weststream here is listening in their car, so you're probably going to get, and if you've got a good sound system, there's probably going to be some good sub content. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to play along with the same tune again. And I'm going to cut all the bass on my instrument. All right? I'm going to cut the bass all together. Things are going to sound a little thinner, but it could still possibly work. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's just experiment. Let's just have a listen. And it's good to do that, right? Milan saying, got me a knockoff Stingray. Nice. Loving it so much. Knobs, the knocks, every time I pick it up right in the face. I swear it's like someone punching straight. That's the thing about the Stingray, the Music Man sound. It is direct. It is right, like, bam. And it's a great tone. I absolutely love it. I can see why someone like, Lewis Johnson absolutely loves it. Obviously Bernard Edwards, Paul Denman from Sade, so many cats, Pino It's got a nice growl to it and a nice and just the right amount like tight kind of low end. It's definitely a very specialized sound, so it's not something that is going to work on absolutely everything, but it is a very usable sound and very versatile. I see it just like the P bass. That is a very specialized sound. It works on a lot of things. It's like the P bass and jazz bass are the most recorded bass sounds in history. They work for pretty much anything, and the Music Man, that sound is definitely like that for sure. Alexander Putz is asking where these mids you just bumped in high, low. Where these mids you just bumped in high or low. So these were on the higher end of the spectrum. I added, especially because I was playing a melody up high, but just to kind of give me a little more growl, I added in just a touch more of the high mids. And I have a switch on here that goes between the mids, and I'll show you. So right now, this is just affecting all high mids. So this is it completely cut off. You know, that's a great sound. It really is. And that would actually work in some cases where you want to have like a nice, very like clean, or if you're doing some thumping, it would work well. Putting it in the middle, flat, brings just a little more definition. And now if I was to crank it all the way, now you're getting into that wah kind of sound. And this is the high mid-range. And there is a time where you might want to have something with it all the way up. Maybe if you're doing, you know, if you're soloing, you could use it as like a solo boost, especially if you're playing up in this higher register. You want to cut through a little more. Just make sure you don't have too much treble going on. It can get a little too brash, so you want to kind of warm it up the sound a bit by cutting some treble, or using, if you have a tone control on your instrument, now in terms of like the low mids, that would be something where that's the right switch, right? Yeah. I've got so many knobs and switches on this instrument. So if I was to lower the low mids, so to me, like, I don't like the sound of reduced low mids because there's all the punch is gone. Especially when playing up high. Here, I'll show you. If I took all the mids, the low mids out, and played along with this tune, I can't even hear myself. Gross. I can't hang, right? And to even try to hear myself, it's you'd be playing so hard. So putting it back in, you know, that definitely, okay, that's great. Bumping it, it's going to make it a little, you know, I'll just show you. Now you're getting into like that very kind of boxy, kind of hollow. Which, you know, is not really my favorite sound. So I like to so that's why on the switch, the mid selecting switch on this bass. I like to only, if I'm going to use different if I'm going to use the mid to what frequencies I'm going to adjust on the mid range, it's going to be the high, because I can still reduce the high mids and still maintain a punchy tone, right? I can still have a little bit of growl, and then I'll crank it for when I want to essentially like a solo boost. That's what I'll do, and so that's how I'll use something like that. Bass Lessons Melbourne, yo, what's up, Craig? Good to see you, bro. What is the tune? So this tune, and I'll play, and I'm actually going to demonstrate what it sounds like with all the bass turned down on the thing. The tune is called True Found. I have no idea who it's by. This was something that a buddy of mine just gave me years ago. He gave me like a CD. That's right, we were using CDs of just all kinds of tunes that he really liked, and this was on there, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool too. It's definitely some intro to I think like in a church, like a band intro. That's why it's really short. It's really cool. But I'm gonna play the tune again, but take all the bass out. So the bass frequencies. So this is what it'll sound like. Add a little more bass. Put it in the middle. Right? So obviously you could hear the bass, but the big missing thing, if the missing the element is definitely that bottom end, but it was still able to carry in there because of the naturalness of the instrument with the strings. But obviously, yes, we needed to have a little more bottom end going in there, and just understand that it's totally okay if you're, for whatever tune that you're playing, if you're and it could be even something like, say, something with like a lower dynamic level, or something that needs to be a little more sparse in texture. You can roll off some bass. I like to use the EQ on my bass for musical reasons. I'll adjust this bass, mid, treble, and also my tone control for what I'm playing musically. All right, I don't use it to tune the room, and that also goes for in the studio as well. The amp, EQ, or if I'm using a preamp, is where I tune the room. So this, and believe it or not, so I've got 3 EQs going on right now, and that's usually my setup. Some might think that's overkill. Sure, I'll agree with you on that. It could be, but for the thing that I use it for is definitely pretty interesting. So like I said, this is to tune the room. The bass is for musical reasons. on the floor, I'm using a Trickfish Trilobite. And I'm using that, and it's a 2-channel preamp. Incredible sound. I'm using that, and I use that to dial in my flat tone. And then any room adjustments I need to do here, and especially because I using that preamp, the Trickfish, because obviously I'm playing through headphones. So this is for the room for in here, and then for my using the headphones, I'm using the Trickfish to dial in, and also because it has a really great tone. And I like the tone of this combined with the tone of the Aguilar, and it's really great. The preamp that's in this bass is a Nordstrand preamp, so I have 3 really great EQs, 3 preamps going on, which is really nice. And that's how I'll use this setup live as well, which is really good, because what I'll do is for this DI right here, this DI, I have it set so that it's going to be pre EQ. So meaning it's going to the front house, and they're not getting this, the EQ, the amp EQ setting, because I'm tuning this to the stage or to whatever, right? They're getting the sound, the EQ sound of the bass and the Trickfish. I want the Trickfish, especially for live, to be that sound. Then obviously they're gonna do their adjustments out there as necessary. But in terms of like that sound, that's how it's gonna be. So yeah, super nerdy, super like technical, maybe a little overkill, but it works for me. It really does. You get the players who are like, just play a P bass with flat wounds and just one cable into your amp and that's it. Sure, if you find your sound doing that, you find your thing doing that, great. That's cool. And there are times where I've totally done that as well, and it's worked. Just remember, sometimes less is more, but sometimes more is more too. Isn't that Yngwie Malmsteen? Didn't he say that? So yeah, let's catch up on the things here. Alexander, so it's like Patitucci. So yeah, Patitucci, Craig. From what I understand, I haven't talked to him about this, but from what I understand, he leaves things pretty flat, like on his bass. And you can hear it in his sound. You can hear a full sound spectrum, on his bass guitar when he's playing. At least on the 6-string. When he's playing his other basses, it's a little different. If he's playing that 5-string bass or even like his P bass, then he's definitely going for that more characterized sound. But on his 6-string, he's trying to, he's definitely covering a wide range. And, he has a custom preamp that he developed with Yamaha for his bass that makes it so that it's very clear. And he's also really good with sound. He's not someone that puts in a lot of bottom end. He has things very balanced. And also the way he plays as well. That's the thing. He's someone that, okay, you get the sound, it comes from the source first, and then you do whatever adjustments, and it's always a matter of anything you're going to do, adjusting. He's definitely more into it's a matter of like subtraction, taking things out that don't need to be there, not like overly boosting stuff, right? And I'll play along to some more music where, we can do some different settings. But it's really cool. I love talking about this kind of stuff, just get going in. It's really fun. If you've just been joining on, welcome. I appreciate you hanging out here. We're just been going through EQ and all that, and also Lydian and all kinds of fun, nerdy bass stuff, which is what we love to do here. All right, this is why I do these live streams. This is why I do Bass with Benjamin. But furthermore, another reason why I do Bass with Benjamin is to help you all on your bass journeys, to guide you and to essentially we want to have a great we want to have a great world of bass players, of bass players that feel good and that love to play music. And when we have great bass players all over the world, we can have really good music scenes as well. We can have great music, and have people who are figuring out how to play this instrument even more. So that's just my little bit I like to do here at Bass with Benjamin. Please check out the links down in the description box. Links to my courses if you want to take a lesson with me or join my one-on-one bass mentoring and coaching program, where I help you and guide you, give you feedback, give you the occasional pep talk, and help you achieve your goals with whatever it is in your bass playing. So make sure you check that out down below. Anything I can do to help you in your bass playing. This is why I have Bass with Benjamin. And Weststream is asking, will there ever be a setting where you might use this tone with all the bass off? Yeah, there has been something like that where I've maybe playing in a section of music where something is really sparse. And it's not a matter of like, okay, turning the volume down because I want to maintain like that the upper mid character. So I'll reduce the bass so that it's not overpowering or not too like boomy and thick. I'll do that on the amp, not the amp, on the bass itself, right? Because I don't want to go and do that on the amp because I've got that tuned to the room, right? So that's why I'm all about, I love basses that have onboard EQs and all kinds of controls because I can use that musically as well. It allows me to do that. I love being able to manipulate the sound and to sculpt it however way it needs to, according to the music. Other than, yes, doing your job as the bassist and the responsibility of holding down the pocket, making it groove, being outlining the harmony, being that supportive role that we're all expected to be, and contributing to the music. That also involves ensuring that your tone actually fits into the picture and that it blends. So that means that's going to change from song to song depending on what you're playing. Now, if you're playing like a whole set of like Motown music where it's like that era, then sure, I might just play the P bass with flat wounds because that's the vibe right there. Or if I'm going to be playing weather report tunes like I did a few weeks ago, where we mainly played stuff from Heavy Weather and 830 Live, so that required me to use my fretless and go for that more Jarko thing, then yeah, that's something that's more specialized. But if I'm playing on a gig where we're playing all kinds of music, which is usually the case, or if I'm playing just stuff where it has different types of vibes going on, then I want to have full control in being able to manipulate the sound in that way and to be able to fit whatever we're playing. And that's just my thing. There's some people who might disagree and be like, no, that's like too much to you just want to play the music. Well, the way that I see music, it involves everything. It really does. It's part of the bigger picture. And in order for me to play and to serve the music well, I want to be able to have control over the sound. So that goes for EQ, that goes for pickup settings, things like that. Obviously, volume, dynamic levels, same thing, right? Effects, that's a whole other like thing too, right? Let's see. Yes, outboard preamp is good if the battery dies too. Yes, although just be aware that there are some basses that are active and passive, have the active and passive option. Even in the passive option, they still need the battery. Just know, it's not like that on this bass or my groove lines. But there are some instruments where it's like that, just the way that they're wired. I think you can get it changed to where it doesn't do that, and I think that's what I did on my groove lines. But the thing to, you know, if you so your battery doesn't die, just don't leave your bass plugged in. You know, when you're not playing it, don't do that. And also, when you can start to hear when the battery is starting to kind of go, things start to get a little fuzzy. And also just carry spare batteries with you wherever you go. That should be, if you have an active bass, that should be in your gig bag. Strings, tools, batteries, stuff like that. All right. Even a soldering iron. You know, you might need to use it. Even if you don't know how to use it properly, I'd recommend just learning how to. There's great videos obviously that can show you how to do that. Or if there is someone that you know who can do it, at least there's a soldering iron there that can be used to like get a wire back in place. I've had to do that for someone's guitar one time. But anyway. John X is saying, I just noticed your bass has a top. What's the combination? Yeah. So the wood combination here is the same as the groove lines, and I did that because that's what I'm used to when getting this bass spec'd out. When sitting down with the dude from Ibanez, he at first, I gave him all these kind of extravagant ideas, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds amazing, and that would be an absolute beast of an instrument, but there might be a huge possibility that, we make this thing, and then, with all these things you mentioned, and you don't like it, and because he says that has happened a lot. The best thing you can do is, in a custom instrument, is take elements that you are familiar with in the instruments you have." So he said, so like in your groove line, if you love those wood combinations, like in the body, use that. Which made absolutely like total sense. I love the tone of that thing. I knew for sure that on the neck, the fingerboard, I wanted that to be maple because I wanted it to be different than the other 6-string, the groove line, which is rosewood. I wanted to have those two different sounds, right? But for the body, I love the sound, or this combination, and essentially, so this is an older body, and the top and the back is ash. That's what it is. So it's like this, nice hybrid of like 60s and 70s. So we're like, yeah, let's just go with that. So that's what they did, and that's what the groove lines are. And so yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, so John, you've been looking at custom bass luthier and am curious about wood combos. Yeah, it's and that's the thing. There's always this argument that with wood that it doesn't really matter or that it does matter. The thing that I'll tell you this. At the end of the day, when you're in a band setting or in a recording environment, anything can be blended, right, to where it's not going to be noticeable for the listener, whether you are playing an instrument with whatever woods. But it'll be noticeable to the player who's playing the instrument because there's going to be a certain tone or reaction. It's going to be a certain tone or a certain way the instrument responds that is going to make the player react in a certain way to how they're playing, whether it's the attack, even the type of musical content you play as well. So that's something there. What I recommend in terms of like wood combos is to have an understanding. And, you can absolutely this is all over the internet. It really is. Have an understanding of what most of the common woods, like tone woods, do, what they provide. You know, that's the thing about it, is that you want to understand, okay, what does rosewood, what kind of character does that bring out? What does ebony bring out? What does maple? What does roasted maple? What does alder? What does ash? What does walnut? Things like that. Understand that. When getting a custom instrument, especially for your first time, I recommend not going overboard with the wood combinations. You might get, because you might get something that looks amazing, but actually doesn't sound good, or maybe is too heavy, is uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Go for stuff that you are familiar with, stuff that works, and then from there, have the basic kind of stuff. So again, with this bass, I knew I wanted to have maple fingerboard, and the recommendation of like, okay, have the wood combinations of what's in the groove line. Great. The things that really make this instrument custom, obviously, the electronics. I had a vision in terms of what I wanted to achieve with the electronics. The two jazz pickups and the P pickup in the middle, that's not my idea. That has been done many times before. Obviously, people like Stu Ham, Jimmy Earl, you see it in many different combos. But I figured, I'm getting a custom instrument. Let's put 3 pickups in there. Why not? Right? And I figured, let's just put a P pickup in there. But I wanted to make it straightforward in terms of being able to control each pickup. So literally each pickup has an on and off switch. It's like that. I don't have a blend knob. I don't think blend knobs, me personally, I don't think they really make so much of a difference, because when you just slightly put on more of the bridge pickup than the neck pickup, but still have a bit of the neck in there, you're hearing more of the bridge pickup, because that's the one that is being selected more in that setting. So it doesn't really make a difference to me. So this is literally just an on-off switch for each pickup, and that way it's easier to have different combinations. I can have them all on. I can just have just the 2 jazz pickups on. I can have these 2 pickups on. I can have these 2 pickups on, or I can just have the middle P bass pickup on. So that was the reason, to be able to do that quickly, and to just flicking switches. And I like flicking switches. It's pretty fun, so yeah. Those are the elements for me, and putting the different hardware and all that, having this be a 34-inch scale and bolt on, because usually the BTBs are 35-inch scale and they're neck through. That was the thing, things like that. Different bridge, this is a hip shot bridge, and this has got a hip shot detuner on the B string. So things like that is what really, makes this more personalized and custom in that kind of sense. So that's that was the whole point in it. Eliza, thanks for the tip. Yeah, you're welcome. Of course, this is what this whole thing is about. Whatever tips I can help you out with, that is always the that's what I'm here to do. All right. Weststream saying the Ibanez MDM brought me here and I'm never leaving. Nice. The MDM, it's such a beautiful instrument, and this wood combination is beautiful too. This is, I believe that's alder, and the top is a poplar burl, and I've never had an instrument with a poplar burl top on it, and it's beautiful. It sounds really great. So the best thing to do also is to really, if you get a chance, and I understand, and Weststream, you bring up a good point here. Not everyone has the luxury or the accessibility to be able to try out instruments or amps and all that. For me growing up, in New Zealand, that was the case. There was no 6-string basses growing up. You couldn't just, go to a music shop and there's like a bunch hanging on the wall. It wasn't like that. It was just like your typical kind of basses. Fender, there would be a Music Man. There'll be other things like ESPs or whatever. Ibanez, obviously, but nothing that would be too crazy because they were just trying to sell instruments. They weren't trying to, get these like very extravagant, incredible creations in, because no one, otherwise they would just sit on the wall forever. Um, and then also, you might be in a location where like you just can't get those kinds of things. We try to do the best that we can, with research and just asking people, right, who are able to, or whenever if you do travel and you get to try stuff out, that's also what you can do. So Western saying, as I mentioned earlier, I'm from the Caribbean. We don't have the luxury of trying out an amp or a bass. We rely heavily on reviews. Exactly. That's the thing. You just kind of have to trust on that thing. And if you are in that situation, just, do as much research as you can. Ask people who have the instruments that you're kind of looking at, or the gear that you're looking at. There's so many videos on YouTube, sound examples. Just, really just do the pros and cons, that way. And most of the time, when I've done that, it's worked out well. And that can be for anything, that even, any kind of item, right? If you don't mind asking, why Aguilar amp head amongst the rest? Well, just right now, so I've also, a lot of you have been seeing, I have been using a Quilter bass head, but recently I've been using the Aguilar head. Just kind of pulled it out and been using it on gigs and playing it, because it's this thing I've used for so many years, and it has quite a very familiar sound for me. The Quilter is an incredible sound, a really great amp. The way it's well built, components and everything, really good. There was some gigs that I did where I took this along, and I was like, oh man, this is like the sound that I'm really familiar with. That's definitely that I spent a lot of time using and helping to create my sound. So that's why I was like, I'm just kind of just sitting on this right now, on the Aguilar. And I've always been a fan of Aguilar, and when I go out of town and play, I always get Aguilar as the back line as well, because it's pretty common and it's what I'm familiar with, right? So yeah, that's what I've played. So many other amps as well, but I've always come back to the Aguilar. That's the thing. And John Axe to say, the stuff I'm familiar with is Ibanez, Jatoba, and Natoya. I don't know what else sounds. Yeah, I'm not too experienced with like different exotic tone woods and everything. Like you're saying, this luthier does black limber, alder, and ash. I'm trying to get a decent jazz bass tone. Yeah, so for a decent jazz bass tone, definitely alder or ash, or you can do a combination of like what I've been doing, alder body and ash tops. That would be really good. If you wanted to go for that, definitely that real, kind of 70s jazz bass tone, I'd recommend, an ash body. Might be a little weighty to it, but it's going to sound amazing. So it's up to you. I'd say, for a good jazz bass tone, the alder or ash. That's my opinion, So if that's helpful. Jovan is asking, what do you think about the GK bass head? I haven't tried the new one. It looks amazing, and look, to be honest, in the past, when I've played GK equipment, whether it's been supplied as the backline, I was never a fan, because for me, it had like a missing element, and also the ones that I played were always like would break down for some reason. That's the thing. But I would say maybe there was a period of GK that was like that, because I've played some vintage ones, some older ones like from the 80s that have been absolutely solid, right? And from what I understand, the stuff that they're putting out now is more along the lines of like that, and people have definitely been raving about them. I'm not super familiar with GK just because of those experiences. I always requested not to have GK and Ampeg. Those are and hotkey. Those are the things I would request on the backline not to have. It would always be Aguilar, and for me, that would always be the thing, because I knew how to use the Aguilar. I knew the sound of it, and for what I do, it works. And so that's why it's really great. This cabinet is obviously not Aguilar. This is AccuGroove, and this is a very, this is made by a boutique company called AccuGroove in Northern California. And this is a cabinet that I've had for many years. It's super solid, but it's very boutique, and it sounds great with the Aguilar. It sounds great with any bass head, even with the Quilter. It sounds incredible. So yeah, I'm gonna play some music. Done a lot of talking here. Might maybe just do something on my loop pedal. But folks, I appreciate you hanging out. It's been really nice. Time has flown. It's already been almost 2 hours. Changes going on, right? And you know what, Jovan and Weststream, I do, in my program, I do have a student who's in the Caribbean, which is really cool. It's my only Caribbean student, so maybe, you know, if either of you two join in, then it can add to the Caribbean population in my bass coaching program. That's the thing, you take an idea and you kind of just run with it like that, you know? So that's the cool thing about it. It doesn't always have to be like all these like complex lines and all that. It's about, and you know, like what scales and all that are you playing? Even though, yes, I've been putting some emphasis on Lydian lately because it's a very important sound. You know, it's such a friendly sound. It's so usable in so many contexts, and it's just really cool to just, you know, help people understand that, like, you know, this is what Lydian does. But just know that when improvising or coming up with stuff, you know, it's not just, you know, when I'm playing stuff, I'm not thinking about scales. I understand chord tones. I understand the functionalities of chords. And yes, does it require like spending some time to just understand what goes into chords? What are the little triads and other chords that are within the chords? What are the different intervals? Those are things that you definitely need to know in order to understand, so that you can hear what that is. So when hearing a chord progression like this, I just kind of you saw me, I just played in chords and just hoping for the best. But I'm using my ear to hear what would actually work. So I'm hearing things that are diatonic in a sense, but I'm also, when I hear a chord, I can hear what tones can go into something. And how you can practice that is, you know, take one chord. So say, for example, say a chord like this, a D flat major 7. Right? So obviously, you know, you can play your D flat major scale over that. Right? Cool, you've got most of the tones, but we're not just going to play D flat major scale You know, now it sounds like a Christmas song, right? I want to look at, you know, okay, let's look at like an arpeggio, a D flat major 7 arpeggio. Because in the chord that's being played, you can hear the most obvious tones. We can hear that major 7. We can hear that 3rd. Obviously, we can hear the root, right? But also, you want to be able to understand and listen to hear tones that you can't hear in the chord as well. That would work. So for me, and this is different for everyone, but this is something for you to discover. You know, what are the tones in the chord, especially the extensions that you can't hear in the chord. What are the things that really speak to you that you can hear in your head? Well, for me, I'm hearing the 9. And then I'm going to hear the sharp 11, which makes it Lydian. And I also hear the 13. So for me, the notes that really speak out are the 9, 11, well, sharp 11 in this case, and the 13. So if I take those notes, these 3 notes that I play, and just remember I'm playing D flat major 7, so the 9 is an E flat, the sharp 11 is a G, and the 13 is a B flat. What triad do we get with an E flat, a G, and a B flat? We get a major triad. I've got an E flat major triad. And then another thing to understand is like, okay, in that E flat major triad, what is its relative minor? What is the relative minor to E flat major? It's going to be C minor, right? And you know what's really cool? Is that if I play a C minor, so I've got C, E flat, and G. But hold on. When we played our E flat major triad, we went E flat, G, and B flat. But the E flat and the G is also in our C minor triad. So what if I added in that B flat that I played in that E flat major triad into my C minor triad? So I'm playing a C minor 7 arpeggio. That's combining, and the reason I'm getting that arpeggio is because I'm combining a C minor triad and I'm combining a E flat major triad. They're just stacked. That's what it is. And so from that point, obviously, we've gotten off of just, okay, even though we're playing D flat major 7, we're not just playing a D flat major scale. We're thinking more chord tones. We're thinking the tones that really stick out, whether we're hearing them or we're hearing them in our head. literally just played C minor 7 over that whole thing. The C minor pentatonic. And if you combine that with things like chromatics, you know, so that's the thing of, you know, and that's just on one chord. Now, if I was to do something more diatonic, so say, for example, let's take what we were just doing, where I played, let's do something, you know, D flat, major 7, let's do B flat minor 7, F minor 7, and then let's go to the G flat major 7. So I'm going to go D flat major 7, B flat minor 7, F minor 7, and into G flat major 7. So all those things that I just played just over D flat major 7, you know, that E flat major triad and a C minor triad, and then combining them together to create a C minor 7 arpeggio. Let's just do that. Might help to have one of the switches on. This is all just C minor 7 that I'm playing. Some chromatics thrown in there, but it's just C minor. But I'm not just playing. I'm not just going up and down the scale. I'm putting it into different permutations, combining different types of rhythm, different types of places where I might be starting, different combinations. across the neck in the different ways that you can play C minor or play E flat major 7. Sorry, just E flat major. It would be more like the E flat, dominant 7. If you were to play a major 7 chord, it would be a the D flat major 7. Now, when we get to that, this is the thing. Even though D flat major 7 or D flat major is our 1 chord, right? And I'm turning that into a Lydian, right? And obviously, Lydian is going to be the 4th mode of our major, diatonic scale, right? So, but the thing is that when we get to that G flat major 7 chord, which is the last chord in our little chord progression, now there's no G natural in there. So then you have to adjust to not like necessarily hit that note when you play it, because depending on how you play it, you might get some crunchiness, but that could be a desired effect. Here we go. You know what I mean? And it depends how you use it. It could work, but just understand that's something that you have to adjust. When you use it in the context with other notes in there, then it would actually work. You get the idea. I hope that's helpful. But that's in terms of like, well, what scales am I using? No, I'm not thinking about scale. It's chord tones, the notes that are jumping out. But also, it pays to have an understanding of what goes into these different chords. And you're playing something diatonic there. Just know that you don't have to change a whole lot for everything that you're playing. It might sound like that I'm playing all these different scales. And sure, what we play musically with melodies and all that are built up of, from scales and arpeggios. But it's really up to you, the creator, the artist, to put that in a very musical and creative concept, and to be free in order to do that. And, how do you develop that kind of thing? Well, a few things is that you got to allow yourself to do that when playing. You got to allow, you got to give yourself permission to just play. The other thing too is you got to, you got to listen to the things that inspire you and give you excitement to play, and also to see how things are done. It's no different than when you might be picking up the bass for the very first time, whenever that was for you in your lifetime. Obviously, there was something that sparked that interest and sparked that excitement to where you spent time and you figured out and were seeing what the inspiration source was, right? And so that's something that you always need to continue doing. And always, like even when you have been playing the instrument for 50 years, always keep doing that so that you always spark that creativity and that excitement and that joy, and just to remind you of why you do this, and to keep things fresh as well. You don't want to just be playing like the same old thing like all the time. but keep it to where it gets boring and uninspiring, right? So that's what it is. I'm gonna play along to a tune, and then I think we're gonna call it. What's board of series saying? Yeah, when the boss kicks your ass and you don't want to play with Benjamin is fine. No, you absolutely should play. Unless you're unless you're playing or unless you're working right now and you're listening and have to do other stuff, then yeah, sure. Let's see. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play this tune because I've played it before and it's so much fun. Such a fun, groovy little number, but not with that tone. Oh, is this the long version? No, I'm not gonna do the long version because it is very long. And what's his name does a very long, incredible saxophone solo on it. That's the lot. Travel bug. Alright, I'm gonna play this tune because I absolutely love it. It's fun to play, it's challenging, and it's by Australian band called Void, which is a band that the great Dean Alderson played in, along with saxophonist Troy Roberts, Andy Fissenden, and Andy Fissenden on drums, Tom O'Halloran on keys. So I'm gonna play this tune of theirs. I think this is the live version. It's called London. Such a fun tune. Lots of twists and turns. All right, let's go. That is a lot of fun. That one's called London by a band called Void. That was with Dane Alderson, the current bassist in the Yellow Jackets. That was a band he used to play in like 20 years ago, from Perth, Australia. Troy Roberts on sax, Andy Fissenden on drums, Tom O'Halloran on the keyboards. So lots of fun, lots of twists and turns going in, lots of fusion, which I absolutely love. So yeah, folks, that's it for me today. I am hungry. I need to go get something to eat. But thank you so much for hanging out. This has been a real treat as always. Great to chat with you all. Great to just get real nerdy with, the bass concepts, bass gear, and just what we do here as bass players and how we can continue to master and push and innovate our craft. And so I always encourage you to keep doing that. Keep going towards the music that you want to play. Keep going towards the things that make you happy, that inspire you to play. And be around the people that are going to help you do that as well. All right? Be with the people who are going to encourage you and want the same thing as you as well. Okay? So folks, thank you so much. Great to see some new cats on here. The cats from the Caribbean. Thank you again. I appreciate you all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the links down in the description box for courses. You want to take just a one-off lesson with me, or be a current student in my bass coaching and mentoring program. I would love to work with you. I'd love to help you on your bass journey, mentor you, and guide you towards the bass goals that you are trying to achieve. Let me help you with that. This is what Bass with Benjamin is all about. So thank you so much, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful rest of the week and the weekend coming up ahead of us, as well as be safe out there. All right? And I'll be back again next week. All right? I do 2 live streams a week here on my YouTube channel, the Tuesday edition and then this edition as well. So whenever you can, please jump in. Always great to see familiar faces, and always, handles in this case, and always great to see new cats as well. Thank you again. Appreciate you all. Boards of Series, Craig from Bass Lessons Melbourne. Who else? Milan, Jovan, Weststream, other cats who are on here, John Axe, right? Eliza, Gil, Alexander Putz, whoever was here, Keenan, I could just go on and on. Shalev. So thank you, everyone. You all take care, and I'll see you again soon, all right? My wife's going, look at his hair. Absolutely. All right, folks. Take care. See you again next time.